The story of the movie begins with a guy named Ji-hyuk, and he has an expert in stealing safes, banks, and antiquities quickly and with high professionalism. One night, Ji-hyuk is in a place to steal a valuable artifact. This place is heavily guarded. The safe was very difficult to open, but due to Ji-hyuk's experience, he was able to open it in just 1 minute. And when he stole the artifact, he quickly fled from the place. Unfortunately, this precious piece falls from it and breaks. Ji-hyuk was sad and felt that he had lost his tiredness. And he began to think about how to fix this piece. He decided to make an exact copy of it. And when he completed redesigning it, he went to someone who buys antiquities. When he saw it, he knew that it was not original and refused to buy it. But Ji-hyuk threatened this person and told him that if he did not buy this piece, he would tell people that he had sold a counterfeit artifact to someone. Because of this person's fear, he decided to buy the piece from Ji-hyuk. Ji-hyuk went out with a friend of his named Ji-yeon. Ji-yeon has experience repairing cars and making explosives. When they arrived at Gu-in's house, Ji-hyuk decided to make a machine that would print counterfeit money. Indeed, he was able to complete this machine. Ji-hyuk printed counterfeit money, but he discovered that there is a problem with this counterfeit money. The problem was that when alcohol was put on the money, it would lose its shape and turn out to be fake. Thus, the idea of Ji-hyuk failed. Ji-hyuk decided to go and rob a jewelry store. In this shop there are many diamonds. The value of these diamonds is estimated at $3 million. This theft is one of the most difficult thefts that Ji-hyuk will do. This is because this store has surveillance cameras and thermal sensors everywhere, and the store is fully secured. Ji-yeon suggested an idea to Ji-hyuk and told him that he has a friend who is an expert in hacking. So he told him that he could disable the camera system and the thermal sensors. Indeed, Ji-hyuk agreed to Gu-in's suggestion, and the next day they went to the hacker. The hacker's name was John, and he had a problem that he was a traitor and would betray anyone for his personal benefit. But Ji-hyuk and Ji-yeon did not overdo it and decided to trust him because he is a professional in the field of hacking. Then we see Ji-hyuk attending a painting exhibition and meeting his girlfriend, Yoon. Yoon is an artist. Ji-hyuk asked to meet her and talk to her about something. During their conversation, Ji-hyuk talks about the necklace she wears, which contains diamonds. This necklace was a gift from her deceased father, and he told her that he wanted to enter a jewelry store to discover what was inside. And he did all this for a plan drawn in his mind. He is to go explore the shop, and by means of Yoon's necklace, no one will be able to suspect him. They go to estimate the price of the diamond for Yoon. They estimated its price, which was worth millions of dollars. So Ji-hyuk explored the store. Yoon was aware of the plan. Before leaving, Ji-hyuk put a bag with a smoke bomb inside it under the chair. He knew the location and also the type of safe he was going to steal. When they left, he thanked his beloved Yoon and drove her home. Then Ji-hyuk starts thinking of a plan to rob the store in just 10 minutes. Here comes the time to perform the operation. But before he entered the store, he activated the smoke bomb that he put in the bag. Smoke seemed to rise from the bag. He asked John to disable the camera and the thermal sensor. Indeed, John did the job. Here we see Ji-hyuk entering the shop. Unfortunately for him, the police knew something was up, and they came to the store in order to know what was happening. But before they reached the shop, Ji-yeon distracts the police. He did this in order to give Ji-hyuk more time to steal. At this time, Ji-hyuk managed to find the diamond. He started running quickly to escape until he reached the place of the car. Indeed, Ji-hyuk and his friends managed to steal the diamonds and return home. They were happy to steal diamonds worth millions of dollars. On the second day, we see the owner of the jewelry store, Joe, who is a rich person. Also, he is a gangster and controls the city. And he had killed his accountant a long time ago by placing him with cement. This is because the accountant tried to betray Joe. And Joe was surprised by the potential of Ji-hyuk and his friends by stealing the most powerful safes in the world. At this time, Joe needed people who were skilled in stealing to carry out robberies. A while ago, he brought a thief to test them and make a competition for them. And the person who can open the safe will make him work with him for thefts. And whoever fails will kill him. But everyone failed to open the safe. So Joe sent his gang to summon Ji-hyuk and his friends in order to work with him in order to rob other jewelry stores. After a short time, the Joe gang managed to bring Ji-hyuk and his friends. Joe asked them to work for him. He agreed to give them 5% of the amount they would steal. Indeed, Ji-hyuk agreed to steal with Joe and his gang. Joe tells them that he has a large amount of illegal money that was imported into Korea through customs. So he told them that he could not take them because there was tight security. He asked them to carry out the operation. Indeed, Ji-hyuk agreed and started with his friends planning to rob the place. Then Joe calls Jong, and he gave him a huge amount of money in exchange for telling him what Ji-hyuk was planning. We see here that the police begin to investigate the theft of jewelry. And when they saw the surveillance cameras, they saw Ji-hyuk carrying a bag with him, which contained a smoke bomb, and they saw him when he put it under the chair. And they knew that he was the one who stole. The police went to Ji-hyuk's house. But when they arrived, they did not find him, but they found pictures of all the thefts that he had done. Here we see Ji-hyuk going to the customs for the robbery. And they started exploring the place. And they put explosives in the place where they will carry out their operation. They also put a hacker device to help Jong penetrate the security systems. And when they completed their exploration, they returned to their homes. Ji-hyun and Jong were with Ji-hyuk at his house. Here we see Ji-hyuk telling Ji-hyun that he wants to betray Joe. And that when he gets the money, he will transfer it to another place. Unfortunately for him, Jong had overheard what Ji-hyuk had said. He went to Joe and told him about Ji-hyuk's plan. So Joe decided to confront Ji-hyuk at a later time because he needed him at this time. Meanwhile, Ji-hyuk goes to the museum to meet his girlfriend Yoon. But Yoon ignored him and did not talk to him, because she had called him several times, but he was not answering her. He apologized to her, but she refused his apology. He tells her how to be upset with him while he is her father's student. We know that Yoon-ho's father is a safe thief. We know that Ji-hyuk learned to steal from her father. He tells her about Joe and that Joe brought him in order to help him in the robbery. He tells her that he decided to take revenge on Joe because Joe is the murderer of Yoon's father. We know that one day Yoon's father decided to quit stealing. But on the second day, Yoon's father was killed by Joe. This is because Joe needed him for other robberies. But Yoon didn't believe what Ji-hyuk said. Ji-hyuk went to his car, and when Yoon gets in her car, suddenly, someone from Joe's gang appears and kidnaps her. And they kidnapped her in order to threaten Ji-hyuk. On another day, the theft begins. Ji-hyuk and his friends managed to enter the port. Ji-hyuk managed to bomb the place in order to distract the police so that he could steal the money. We watched Jong use his skills to disable the security systems, which gave Ji-hyuk 40 minutes to open the safe. After this time, the safety systems will return to work. Ji-hyuk tried to open the safe, and there was a little time left until the safety systems returned to work. But before the security systems returned to work, Ji-hyuk managed to open the safe and steal the money. Unfortunately, the police arrive and start walking around the port to see if anything is wrong. This thing made Ji-hyuk stay in his place and change the location of the money. And he did this in order to hide the money from Joe and his gang. But he is surprised by the arrival of Joe, who knew about Ji-hyuk's plan. He stopped him and asked him to turn himself in to the police. But Ji-hyuk refused, and when he refused, Joe showed his necklace that Yoon had. He told him that if he wanted to save her, he should put the bag of explosives in the car. And he has to drag the police away from this place. And if he did not do this, he would kill Yoon. Ji-hyuk had no choice. Ji-hyuk brought the police towards him, but he decides to throw himself into the sea. But the police managed to shoot him in the back. He had explosives in his hand, and when he fell into the sea, it exploded. Here we see his friend Ji-hyun grieving because Ji-hyuk died in the explosion. As for Jong, he was happy with the death of Ji-hyuk. A quarrel appeared between Jong and Ji-hyun, which ended with Gu-in's death. Hours later, we see the car with the money arriving at Joe's headquarters. When he opened the car, he was surprised to find food vouchers worth $100. And here we know that Ji-hyuk is still alive. Ji-hyuk seemed to call Joe. He told him that all of this was planned in order to take revenge on Yoon's father. And that the plan he prepared when the artifact fell from him and replaced it with a fake one. And tell him that he put a listening device in the fake piece. And that he knew that Joe was going to buy it from the shop of the owner of the artifacts. When Joe bought it, he put it in his office. And that Ji-hyuk managed to eavesdrop on him. He tells him that he knew he was looking for a professional thief. Because of this, Ji-hyuk decided to rob Joe's place in order to attract Joe's attention and choose him. Then we find out that Jong was working for Ji-hyuk. And Ji-hyuk asked Jong to do all this so that Joe wouldn't suspect him. As for the police who hit him with a bullet, they are people working from Ji-hyuk, and the bullet is fake. And that Ji-hyun also did not die and that it was a trick so that they would not be exposed. Joe is losing hope and the police start entering his house. And when they entered, he killed all his gang members. During their call, Ji-hyuk hits Joe in the car, allowing the police to arrest Joe. Here we see Jong saving Yoon and moving her to another place. As for the money that Joe saw, it was not real. It was made by the Ji-hyuk machine, which, when alcohol was placed on it, changed its shape. We see Ji-hyuk that he was able to take the money and escape by car. And then Ji-hyuk disappears for months from the incident. One day, Yoon finds a suitcase full of money. It was Ji-hyuk who sent the money to her and also opened an art gallery for her in the UAE, which includes all of her paintings. Yoon watches that her necklace, which was stolen by Joe, is also present, and which was a gift from her father. Also, Yoon is surprised by the presence of Ji-hyuk, and they decide to get married and live happily ever after. Do not forget to watch these interesting films and subscribe to the channel. I advise you to subscribe to the channel, access it and watch interesting movies.